Before we get to the video, this is a content creator by the name of Wild Smile. I think it bears sharing.
Wild Bill, otherwise known as William Finley, was arrested at a Canadian airport for attempting to smuggle hate speech on his iPad. That's right, going to Canada with an electronic device with access to the internet, perhaps you could be detained too for having critical thoughts of Islam. Perhaps you aren't an advocate of gender theory, then guess what? You are also speaking hate speech now, according to Bill C-16. If you go to Canada with notes disagreeing with gender theory, you could possibly be arrested for smuggling hate speech. How about that, Canada? You managed to become more terrifying than the worst drug cartels in Mexico just on the grounds of your enforcement of ideology. Really, that is some good work, being more concerned for the supposed feelings of one group than the freedom of your entire people. Finley served as a Navy corpsman with the Marines before becoming a law enforcement officer, serving as both a deputy U.S. Marshal and deputy sheriff. This is a great insult to me, as this man has dedicated many years of his life in service of the United States, and he was given a fuck you by a supposed friendly neighboring country, Canada, a country that prides itself in treating everyone with respect.
Here's a clip from Wild Bill. He's an ex-military man who's also with U.S. law enforcement, who's been unjustly detained.
It's clear to me that the government of Canada was determined to make an example out of me and to send a message to others who dare to stand for freedom and to oppose Islamic oppression. Now, I will say that Officers Jackman and Rettel were not rude to me in any way. They bullied and harassed me very politely, and I appreciate that. But as a lawman, I refuse to be intimidated by bad cops, and it hacks me off to see men who wear the uniform conduct themselves as bullies to intimidate citizens for political purposes. And now I send a message to the Canada Border Services Agency. I demand that you immediately return the iPad that was unlawfully taken from me during the unlawful detention. I further warn that I am exploring all legal remedies both here in the USA and in Canada. I strongly suggest that you pack up that iPad and ship it to my home without delay. And if you tamper with it, if you delete any content, or if you add anything to it, I will pursue full legal remedies.
For a while now, I've been chiding Canada for a couple episodes now for not having freedom of speech, with recent changes to legislation limiting freedom of expression. And to be fair, I assumed maybe years later, maybe half a year, something would come up, and it's been a little over a month, and the Canadian government has decided to arrest a member of the US who happens to be a police officer. If your knee-jerk reaction is, well, fuck the police, do forgive a tired old reply, as cliche as it is. If they can take away the rights of someone like Wild Bill for simply expressing a different opinion, then what do you think that they can do to the rest of us? It's my simple advice, unless you wish to bend to the comfort of others. This isn't just my opinion. You could even consider this almost borderline legal advice and a federal necessity. Do not go north anytime soon. This is Befish. Befish? We all remember KP. Hi, KP. Certainly not someone I'm looking to defend. KP ended up using some fan art from B that B didn't necessarily want her to, and complained, which is all well and fine. B got the credit, and then goes back to DAing bitches anyways. To quote Event Horizon, wow, it takes a lot to be a worse human being than Rachel, but you found a way. So, I'm gonna do a quick admin to the video here. I was really tired last night, and I relented and decided to cut a bunch of crap from this video on Befish. Vida hit me with an emotional appeal, and I'm a sucker for that shit. I'm not gonna lie, I still have it because I know he and Bay will likely make me regret pulling this punch. So I'm gonna put that up on the shelf for now. Yes, Vida, you can tell me you hate me. Maybe I just remembered you being my friend. I'm going to remove part of this, even though I know both of you have it coming. The part that's staying in is Deckard Spades, a former client of Befish who had some serious complaints after buying her work. I think it's fair to warn people before they commission an artist that it may take months just before they decide to cancel the commission, albeit with a refund. Some art is case sensitive. Sometimes you need it for a video, and I understand that special cases can be made, but I know Deckard's a fair guy, so here you go.
Hey there everybody, this is Deckard Spade. I just want to go straight into this and talk a little bit about professionalism in art. You see, for the last year and a half, I've worked with a lot of artists. I've learned about commission prices, the amount of time, effort, and understanding it takes to develop pictures, and the fact that it comes with a level of trust when you work with them. Professional artists usually are upfront about what they do. Now you might look at some artists and say, that looks like a bargain when you look at their prices. An upfront artist will usually tell you that it's lower because of X reason. Maybe they're practicing. Maybe they're trying something they haven't done before. Maybe they're perfectionists and they chop off a little bit of the price because of the extended amount of time it might take to get their picture done. Regardless, a professional is usually upfront with this. There is one artist that I cannot regard as a professional, and that's one who compromises their work and chooses to do nothing because they're being immature. Befish here is one of those artists. You see, back when I was developing my channel, I was pushing to have some recognizable things to garner some interest. I came across Befish's art, and she had several Flash dress-up games, which made things interesting. It looked like their commissions were open, and I contacted them about making one such game for Deckard. So I contacted them and asked if it was possible. They gave me an absolutely, don't worry about it. As long as it isn't too complex, I'll work with it. So I assured them it could be simplified to let me know if anything seemed too complex, and gave them a list of different outfits and expressions for Deckard as requested. I then paid for the art in advance, somewhere around the sum of $40. Again, at the time, they assured me they didn't have too many commissions to do, and since I was following them on Picarto, I could watch them stream and work on the progress. Everything seemed alright, so then a week goes by and there's no word. And I'm not expecting anything to be done by then. I know it's supposed to be a Flash project, so I figured it's going to take some time. So I tune into their next stream and I ask about how many people might be in front of me and what might be going on. Then I got this response. It's not that. I just don't feel like opening that program. I have to open Flash to do that. I don't want to draw in Flash right now. Now, at the time, they were streaming with Fluffy Mixer, the artist who does Flufflepuff. To his credit, he said, "You should get this done. Just get it over and done with. Then you don't have to worry about it." Now, I know better than to try and force an artist to do anything. If they aren't in the mood to draw the art, then what kind of quality am I going to get back in turn? So I was polite. I noted I wasn't in a hurry, I was just curious, and then I backed up and waited to see how things might go. Then it became 2 to 3 weeks later, and I started to see a pattern on their DA. Befish had been taking on more commissions for just simple drawings. Now, again, I know some artists have to live off their commissions and advertise for new ones. This isn't anything new, but from what I remember, they had told me they didn't have that many beforehand, and it shouldn't take too long to get to my work. Regardless, I didn't want to bother them too soon, so I made a resolution that in 1 month's time total, I would contact them. So then the 1 month mark hits. Then they tell me that they still haven't started anything. They said that they took on a lot of commissions as well, and that they were going to have to get some of these out of the way while working on mine. Told them I wasn't expecting it to be done, but I was also expecting something to be done. I asked them, is it too complicated? Do you need me to make something easier? What can I do to help? I was again assured that things were fine and that they would get to it. And then 1 month turned into 2. They were still advertising actively and taking on other commissions. I then noticed that there was a lot of patterns to her art. Everything was simplified expressions, very rounded, and tended to have socks or a scarf in it. All of the commissions that they made tended to have the same rounded proportions. This could be attributed to style, but it also showed that they wanted to get something easy and known to them done. 2 months turned into 3, and then 3 turned into 4. For the second and third month, I had only checked in monthly asking if anything was going on. I got less and less responses. I didn't message them constantly. It was again 1 message a month. And every single time I had to be the one to contact them. At the 4th month, they admitted they had not done anything on the project still. They said that it was too complicated and that they didn't want to do it. They refunded my money, and I was left being unhappy and annoyed. You see, I don't like making other artists feel like they're annoyed by me. I have been known to wait up to a year or longer on some pieces of art because of certain circumstances. But there's a difference between what happened here and what happened with other artists. You see, good artists will usually accept things willingly or give you a straight answer if they feel it's too complicated to do. They want to work with you to give you the product that you pay for. And in turn, they ask you to be patient and understanding while they complete their art. Befish did not talk to me. They did not tell me things were complicated until I asked them for 4 months. And they were lying to my face. They accepted my money, assured me there wouldn't be a problem. I waited patiently, I kept in contact, and they didn't like that. To boot, they put 0 effort into starting the project, let alone even working on it. And while they didn't lie about not starting it, they led me around for 4 months, making me think that they would. They also obviously did not take me as a priority in what I paid them for in advance. All because she didn't want to open Flash. To me, Befish is an inexperienced artist who would rather work on uniform, easy projects without challenging themselves. They were also unprofessional after taking someone's money and then prioritizing them on a whim. If you see Befish, don't buy from her. She doesn't deserve your money or your attention.
Now, well, if you're there right now, B, and saying, well, FNGR is just salty, I walked away. Sheldon walked away, and he has talent on some level, and I kinda miss the guy. Event Horizon has the ego and the density of a dying star. And there's no amount of talent that could ever live up to that ego. Like, it's impossible. But he has talent, and on some level, I miss him. Befish, your special talent is going around saying, I'm dating Radio Edit Puff, and that's it. Congratulations. Your boyfriend is Debbie Moore and you're Ashton Kutcher. People, if they cared about you, only do because of who you're with. If you think I was being bad about me telling who was dating who, Vito went around talking about who someone was sleeping with.
Ooh, nigga, my mac and cheese is done.
Hashtag moral high ground. Aside to Event Horizon, I'm sorry for being a prick. Ego with the density of a dying star notwithstanding, thank you for talking with me. Good luck with your work, and while I'm not a fan of Brony music, your piano work is fucking amazing. You are the Grey Silvermane of people that I've gotten the chance to work with who play. If I don't count Youngblood Fantasy 91. Speaking of which, if you're a Brony musician and you're really good, contact me down below. I can pay money and exposure. Dear Vida.
Most everyone joining analysis is, and was, to be fair, doing it to gain either fame or money through their works and not from a place of passion. They produce watered down content that isn't real analysis and is more of a scam to viewers. And has for the past 2 years. It's become straight reviews. People with even moderately big names like Tune Critic, Jazz Scorcher, and Voice of Reason push forth with this standard. It has become appreciated through the community today. But let me tell you something, I haven't mentioned anyone yet. Back when I hanged with Digi, he had a hatred for the Rift Cafe and people making videos for the Brony analysis community for the largest part, because he saw that they were doing nothing and just found it repulsive.
Most of everyone joining to do anything are trying to do it for the fame or the money. You've more or less said this when you talk to Pokebrony. And some of them do straight up call themselves reviewers in the analysis community, something Voice of Reason has straight up embraced. As for Digi's hatred for the Brony analysis community, if I remember correctly, he talked about how much happier he was when he went to anime, and well, yeah, we saw how that turned out. I love Digi up and down, but Digi is not an excellent guide to happiness, nor is he one you respect for analysis. You've said yourself that you take people's character into account when judging their work, mostly because you're a person who's ruled by his feelings. So which are you lying about? The fact that Digi sucks or the Brony analysis community sucks? From where I stand, you don't have a horse in this race. I'm still waiting with bated breath to see this new Brony analysis renaissance that you're promising. But under your breath, you keep talking about how your crew, despite having done nothing, is already better. By and large, the Secret Rift is a group of individuals who create their own things. Tricky Fox is doing really well with his analysis, and Vita's big no-sell to that is, well, I can't stand his accent. Meanwhile, he puts off with Yakov Smirnov over here on his channel. Now, Vita, we all know that Germans are better people than Russians. This is a fact. There's no arguing it. My Europeans are better than your Russians. It's okay if you want to be jealous, whether it's Grey Silvermane, Sharpwit, Dogai Crimson, or Tricky Fox.
Or A and Y.
Wait a minute, he's still alive? Well, I think you get my point. Hi, Toon. I got some bad news. I don't think you understand the principles of zero tolerance. I know what you're thinking. Come on, man. That was an itty-bitty teeny-weeny thing. Oh, I know. It's why I'm metaphorically going to only cut off one of your fingers at the first joint, metaphorically speaking. Since you decided to get brave over the weekend, I'm gonna have to tax you right now. So, we're gonna go into what may be the first and the last of our first and many stories about Toon being a naughty boy. My friends are probably watching this right now, screaming at their computer screen. So let me tell you about Twist of Fate for 2 reasons, and they're both called Pastel Pros. So, when I met Pastel and her posse, it included Tommy Taco, Twist of Fate, and Gordo Mash. I adore Pastel Pros because she's a ball breaker and utterly fucking ruthless. Take notes. If you don't have a ball breaker in your group, you want one. It might not be immediately obvious, but they come in handy. Even if you can handle your own business, you're gonna have sick days. I am not a huge Tommy Taco, Twist of Fate, or Gordo Mash fan. But, like, when I brought in Vida, I let him bring in his delegates, his plus ones. And that's how you know if you're respected in Limbo. It isn't just if you're there, it's if you are able to bring people with you. Pastel, after her breakup with Anime Wolfgamer, we won't go into specifics, went into a somewhat marginally improvement of the former boyfriend model. And I thought, you know what, that's not my business. I didn't care and made Pastel Pros happy, and a happy Pastel Pros is less dangerous. Not a safe Pastel Pros, those don't exist. Fast forward till later, because Toon either had a grudge against Pastel for defending Fallen Wish, or who knows, maybe he just did it for kicks. Started to lure Pastel's people into his room, the domain. Pastel's room, I forget the name, started to become a ghost town. And yes, Toon boosted Pastel's boyfriend. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I laughed my fucking ass off when that shit happened. In the history of dick moves, that was a keeper. Now, to be totally clear, that was just a friendship that put a strain on things. Long story short, Twist didn't quite step up to bat quite enough, and that whole relationship between Pastel and Twist ended. Pastel, to some degree, blames Toon for that shit. Now, at the time, I know Toon was amused by that, by all that nonsense going down. I don't think Toon was spinning around in his chair, clapping his hands and feet FNGR style, giggling and sadistically, but he wasn't exactly innocent. I know when it went sideways, I went up to Twist sometime later and I said, I want you out of Limbo. I can't stand you. And I threw his sorry ass the hell out. Twist of Fate is on the secret modding staff. He's well liked. I just never had any use for the motherfucker. And that's where we are today. This is Katie Star. Cat Star? I'm gonna keep doing that. Cool Girl, she did this amazing picture of Sapphire looking all buck and filled with bravado. I brought her into Limbo, and Pastel, when she looked up, drying her tears, looked up to see, as if an angel had entered the room, and she moseyed her way over and went, "How you doing?" And Katie was like, I've never been in a relationship before, and Pastel stroked her hair and went, "Shh, it's okay. I'll go slow." And later on that night, they made mad, passionate fan fiction together. True story, at least that's what my headcanon has for now. Now, in my own small way, I've helped contribute to that relationship, and Pastel and Katie Star, Cat Star, are happy. And Toon, for whatever reason, said professional reasons, wanted to keep in touch with Katie Star, Cat Star. Pastel is like, "Get your big gay ass away from my girlfriend, yo." Now, we can argue whether her fears are reasonable or not. If Toon contributed to the downfall of this relationship, Pastel would have to put life-shortening hurt on Toon Critic. And I wouldn't blame her. And for reasons you guys don't know about yet, keyword yet. So this set up a series of rules in which Toon could talk to Katie professionally. Juvenile maybe, but Toon agreed. Last Sunday, Toon ignored these rules, and that's why we're here now. Now, Toon, I myself reached out to Lily's girlfriend, where I was being a cheeky bastard. Full cards on the table, I offered to buy some of Lizzie's artwork, which is more than I did for Befish. Yes, the purchase was to wheel and deal because if I got the artwork, maybe I could convince her to do a podcast, and that would close the distance between the nonsense and the Lily-Pete rivalry that we have. As someone who's not ruined any of Pete's significant relationships that I can think of, honestly, you, on the other hand, have stepped beyond that place. Fair or not, it is what it is. I found out recently that you're not staying with Toon's friends at BronyCon. I bet that hurts. I bet you thought that you were one of them. How's it feel to know that you betrayed your girlfriend for someone who considers you a C-strand friend? Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Mwah! Back to Toon. I can't help but feel that you don't feel that this is a big enough warning. So let's go one more joint on the finger. Let's do a little bit more cutting. I want you to feel this. Dear Eliora. Oh yeah, Toon. Ooh, you should be flinching right now. Toon Critic secretly schemed to get you kicked out of the domain. Go ask around. Stop pressing your luck with me, Toon. Zach, 1 week, there's going to be a really sad, busted down picture of your OC looking like a hobo with a can of beans and a pocket full of dreams. And it's going to be your show. But until then, thank you, fuck you, bye. Oh, bonus. Dear Starbold, I'm going to read this off. This was a remark he tweeted at me before blocking me. Brazen in your destruction of the Brony fandom. Why people tolerate you, let alone listen to you, remains the greatest mystery of the Brony fandom. I will now reply. Starbold, in earlier tweets, you said that you liked when I bashed Lily Pete, but found that my anti-KP coverage was abhorrent. Naturally, I'm paraphrasing. Star, you do understand a who's who of the Brony fandom despises KP. See that part on Toon? I'm going to get yelled at for that, most likely. No one in the fandom who creates content has been mad at me. Star, you are a no-name fan who does nothing, creates nothing, and that's why you love KP, because you can't appreciate what talent is. The mere fact that you said the best thing was me picking on Lily Pete, and the best thing possible was then to ignore me, in the same breath, with zero sense of irony, is baffling and awe-inspiring. I find it stifling a KP fan would have the audacity to hate Pete. But, for what it's worth, I don't have much else to say about KP for the time being, so your giant hissy fit was all but for nothing. But hey, if KP fucks up again, which judging by Befish's thing doesn't seem to be the case, there's not a problem. Toodles! Oh, one more thing. If you haven't gotten the chance yet, head on down to Analysis Daily to vote. We're doing another big and small tournament. For the big tournament, just for example, it's Silver Quill versus Manga Common, Jaw Scorcher versus Lightning Bliss. Surely you have the time to decide who's the best of the best. Link in the description. Plus, there should be an annotation card here.